I was born second, which, in our family, meant I was already behind. My sister, Lila, came first, and with her arrival came a halo. Everyone adored her. My mother called her our little light. My father said she was the future of this family, and me, I was just there. I didn't understand it at first. I thought I had done something wrong. I thought if I got better grades, wore nicer clothes, smiled more, maybe they'd see me. But Lila didn't have to try. She was always seen. Every birthday, Lila got a party. I got a cake. Sometimes. When she cried, the world stopped. When I cried, I was being dramatic. I became the quiet one, the easy child, the one who didn't cause trouble. But inside, I was drowning in silence. Favoritism wasn't just about attention. It was about identity. She became the chosen one. I became a shadow. And yet, I clung to the hope that maybe one day they'd notice what I was becoming in the dark. Strong, aware, and very, very awake. They say you can't choose your family, but I would later learn you can choose how you survive them. It was a Tuesday night, nothing special, just another dinner. But sometimes, the deepest cuts don't come from shouting or slamming doors. They come from silence. We were all sitting at the table. Lila was talking about her upcoming piano recital, and my parents were glowing with pride. I had just received my first academic award, top of my class in literature, and I waited for the right moment to share it. I waited and waited. No one asked how my day was. No one noticed the certificate poking out of my school folder. I cleared my throat. I won the writing contest at school, I said, almost whispering. My mother blinked. That's nice, dear. Then she turned back to Lila, laughing. My father didn't even look up. In that moment, something shattered. Not loudly, not visibly. But inside, it was like a window cracked. I wasn't jealous of Lila. She was just playing the role she'd been assigned. I was angry at the script, at the fact that, no matter what I did, I was never enough to break through their image of me. I excused myself from the table, and no one stopped me. Not even Lila. That night, I cried alone. But that was also the night I decided I would stop waiting to be seen. I'd build something so undeniable they'd have no choice. After that dinner, something inside me hardened. My room, once a quiet place of escape, transformed into something else. I started pinning my goals to the walls. Scholarships, competitions, universities in cities my parents had never even mentioned. I stopped trying to win their affection and focused on outgrowing their world entirely. I devoured books like oxygen, stayed up late perfecting essays and researching how people with nothing built empires. My teachers noticed, my friends, parents noticed, but at home, nothing changed. I remember overhearing my mother one night on the phone. Lila is the one we're counting on. She has the charm. She'll marry well. That word marry hit me like a slap. I wasn't being raised. I was being dismissed. My future wasn't even part of their conversation. That's when I knew. I wasn't just the forgotten daughter. I was the underestimated one. That thought became my fuel. I wasn't chasing revenge. I was building it in silence, like laying bricks behind closed doors. Every A+ was a brick. Every rejection I turned into growth was another. I didn't want to hurt them. I wanted to outgrow the cage they didn't even know they'd built for me. And I would. I remember the envelope like it was glowing in my hands. The university I had dreamed of, the one across the country, the one no one thought I could ever reach, had accepted me. Not just accepted. Full scholarship. I stood in the kitchen, holding that letter like it was my soul finally printed on paper. My hands were shaking. My chest was pounding. I had done it. I had really done it. My father was reading the paper. My mother was on the phone. Lila was scrolling through her phone, legs folded like a queen. I said it loud, too loud. I got into Brighton University, full ride, journalism. There was a pause. Then my mom said, "Oh, that's nice. But it's so far. Why not apply somewhere closer to home?" Lila didn't look up. I stood there, frozen. I felt like a stranger in my own story. My dream, the thing that had pulled me through years of being invisible, was being met with indifference. No celebration, no hug, not even a smile. Just a cold suggestion to shrink it down, fit it into their small, familiar frame. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I smiled to myself. "I'm going," I said. And this time, I didn't ask for their permission. My first night at Brighton, I sat on the floor of my tiny dorm room, surrounded by unfamiliar walls, and I wept. But not from sadness. It was release. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shrinking myself to fit someone else's expectations. I was alone, yes, but I was free. I started journaling every night, writing letters I'd never send, pouring years of swallowed emotions onto the page. My professors challenged me, my peers inspired me, and slowly, I began to feel like I mattered. Then something unexpected happened. I started publishing small essays online, personal, raw, unfiltered stories about being overlooked, about favoritism, about building your worth in silence. People read them. People responded. One girl messaged me. I thought I was the only one. I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was giving voice to every forgotten daughter out there who was still living in the shadows of someone else's spotlight. If this part of my story resonates with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. That's how YouTube knows this matters, and how more people can find it. My pain had become my platform, and for the first time, I wasn't invisible. My first night at Brighton, I sat on the floor of my tiny dorm room, surrounded by unfamiliar walls, and I wept. But not from sadness. It was release. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shrinking myself to fit someone else's expectations. I was alone, yes, but I was free. I started journaling every night, writing letters I'd never send, pouring years of swallowed emotions onto the page. My professors challenged me, my peers inspired me, and slowly, I began to feel like I mattered. Then something unexpected happened. I started publishing small essays online, personal, raw, unfiltered stories about being overlooked, about favoritism, about building your worth in silence. People read them. People responded. One girl messaged me. I thought I was the only one. I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was giving voice to every forgotten daughter out there who was still living in the shadows of someone else's spotlight. If this part of my story resonates with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. That's how YouTube knows this matters, and how more people can find it. My pain had become my platform, and for the first time, I wasn't invisible. After the funeral, the will was read. I didn't expect much, and I was right. Lila got everything. The house, the savings, the antique jewelry, even the family car. I was left out entirely. Not one line, not one mention. It was as if I had never existed in his legacy. The lawyer looked uncomfortable reading it. I didn't flinch. I didn't argue. I just nodded. Lila caught up with me in the parking lot, her voice coated in condescension. I guess some of us were meant to carry the family forward, she said. I looked at her and smiled, not out of kindness, but out of clarity. She could have all the things. She could cling to the spotlight, but I had something she'd never understand, a self built from ashes, a fire that didn't need their oxygen. That night, I booked a speaking gig in another city, a small event for young women who had felt invisible like me. I told them the truth. They tried to erase me, so I wrote myself back into existence. The applause wasn't just noise, It was healing. Lila could inherit the name, the money, the furniture, but I had inherited my own voice, and it was louder than anything they had ever given her. It started with a journal, just late-night scribbles. Heartbreak poured onto pages no one would read. But over the years, those pages became chapters. The chapters became a manuscript. And one day, that manuscript became a book, The Forgotten Daughter. I self-published it with trembling hands, expecting silence, but silence never came. Reviews poured in. Women from all walks of life messaged me, thanking me for saying the things they never had the courage to voice. "You wrote my story," one said. "You gave my silence words," said another. The book climbed charts I never dreamed of. Podcasts, interviews, invitations. I wasn't chasing fame. I was finally being heard. One day, I got a letter from my mother. Handwritten, shaky script. She had read the book. Every word. "I didn't know," she wrote. "I wish I had seen you. I'm sorry." That letter didn't erase the past, but it was something. Proof that even stone hearts can crack with truth. I didn't write for revenge. I wrote to survive. But in doing so, I found something deeper. Redemption. Not just for myself, but for every forgotten girl out there still whispering in the dark. Years had passed. My book was being studied in women's studies courses. I was speaking at conferences. I had a life I had built, brick by emotional brick. And then, one afternoon, I received an email from Lila. It was short, polite, too polite. "I'm getting married. I would like you to come." At first, I laughed, then I nearly deleted it. But something made me pause. I wasn't the broken girl in the corner anymore. I didn't need revenge. I had nothing to prove. But maybe, just maybe, showing up would be the final act of quiet power. So I RSVP'd yes. When I arrived, heads turned. I wasn't in black. I wore deep red, bold, elegant, impossible to ignore. Lila looked stunned when she saw me. We spoke briefly, like two women who had lived different lifetimes under the same roof. She looked beautiful, nervous, maybe even humbled. I didn't steal attention. I didn't make a speech. I just stood there, whole, grounded, real. The girl they had overlooked had become the woman they could no longer avoid. That day wasn't about her wedding. Not to me. It was about presence, and I had arrived. I used to think healing would look like an apology, like someone kneeling, begging for forgiveness, realizing how deeply they hurt me. But healing didn't come in a dramatic scene. It came in quiet choices, in walking away, in building something sacred with the same hands that were once used to wipe silent tears. Today, I live in a small house by the coast. I teach writing to girls who've been told they're too much or not enough. I watch them unfold, just like I did. I see my younger self in their questions, in their trembling voices asking, "Am I worth it?" And I look them in the eye and say, "You were always worth it." Sometimes, I still hear echoes of missed birthdays, empty chairs, invisible wounds, but they no longer define me. They shaped me, and I used every fracture to form something stronger than I ever imagined. If you've ever felt invisible like I did, leave a comment below. I read them all. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Someone out there needs this story just like you found it today. They tried to forget me, but I remembered who I was, and I rebuilt.